Hey guys, another video for our castles and old buildings in Japan playlist. So a machi in Japan is sometimes a town or part of a town or sort of like a suburb of a city. So traditionally, of course, people didn't travel very far, so usually they had like a high street in their machi where all the shops were. So they could walk down to the shops and buy whatever they needed and walk home. So everybody had their local little shopping area. Of course, now people have cars and buses and trains. So slowly these little machi high streets have changed. So you get a combination of things. Occasionally you get an old building that's still trading, like this classic. This is actually a little izakaya, and they sell alcohol from there and a little bit of food, and it's still trading, which is amazing. And then you get other ones where they've converted them to other businesses, and then you got another one there at the end where it's not trading as a business anymore, but the old people are still living in there. So as you can imagine, a lot of these have been in families for generations, for who knows how long, and particularly the piece of land, often the building might have been rebuilt at some stage. So who knows, could be hundreds of years, couldn't it? So of course what happens then is the generation that's been living there and working there, slowly they'll get older and retire or pass away, and then maybe the younger generation aren't interested in taking it on. And that's very similar to what we find with the old houses. So what sometimes happens then, and we know some families who actually own old buildings like that and are not interested in doing anything with them, but because it's been in the family forever, they don't want to sell it. So then what you get is these old buildings that are either just left empty. If they're lucky, they'll maintain them so they don't fall down. But if they don't maintain them well enough, they'll start to collapse, and then they have to be taken down. And then you end up with either a vacant piece of land, or eventually the family will say, okay, then we might as well sell it, and they'll sell it, and a new building will be built there. Or the vacant piece of land or the old building will just be left, which is often the case as well. So it's all fascinating. The ones that are still trading, of course, are fascinating, but also the ones that are left empty are very interesting too, because quite often they're like a time capsule. Nothing's been done to them, like this one, for a really long time. So they're basically exactly as they were when they stopped trading whatever they were doing there. So they're fascinating. Everywhere you go in Japan you see these, even in the big cities. You get little strips of these little shops, even in big cities, surrounded by tall buildings, for exactly the reasons that we just talked about, that they've been in the family forever, people don't want to sell them. We actually showed you an example in Nagoya of some of those little buildings being surrounded by big buildings. Isn't that a classic? So a lot of these, that was on the left there was, we think was a ryokan, so it was like an inn, Japanese inn. Because of course people used to travel slowly in those days, they needed places to stay when they were travelling around. So anyway, that was that. More videos coming soon.